Merry Christmas, Grace family. My name is Scott, and I send you Christmas greetings wherever you are today. As an adjunct professor, I have students all over the world, and it's a blessing and an honor to do so. So if you're gathering in the Northern Hemisphere, I pray you have a white Christmas. I have some students in Finland and Norway and Europe, and so I pray it's a beautiful Christmas. I know us here in Texas, we're praying for a white Christmas. We rarely get one, but if you're a student or a member of the Grace family in the Southern Hemisphere, I have some students and friends in Australia and Africa. Maybe you'll be celebrating Christmas at the beach. However you will celebrate the arrival of Jesus in history to redeem us and to save us, I want to encourage you with just a couple of beautiful reminders from the book of Galatians. Surprise, we're not going to read a short passage, a beautiful passage from the Gospels, which obviously narrate and record for us the history of the life of the Son of God in the earth. But the book of Galatians, chapter 4, has perhaps one of my favorite Christmas passages. It's very short, but it's packed with meaning. And I'd like to open this up for you just in a couple of moments and encourage you with some grace gifts this Christmas. This is what Galatians chapter 4, verse 4 says. Paul is speaking. He says this and reminds our hearts. But when the fullness of time came, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, so that he might redeem those who were under the law, that we might receive the adoption as sons and daughters. The beautiful thing about Galatians 4:4 is that the first thing it reminds us is that God's timing is perfect. God has intentional timing. It says, but when the fullness of time came, this is almost a pregnancy picture. It's like the history of the world, the earth, the universe itself was pregnant with the arrival of Jesus. And at the 40th week, at the 9th month, Jesus came at the perfect time. But I would suspect if you were living during that time, you would have thought it was already well past time. And that's often our difficulty, isn't it? That we think that God is late in the things that he wants to do. I don't know if you struggle with that. I do. When we were eagerly awaiting the arrival of our first child for years, we were praying, struggling with infertility, my wife Liza and I, we thought in a very hopeless way at times that God was late, that our dream of a family should have already been here. But when my son was born, it took a while, but it became in our hearts and minds and is now fully the perfect time. God knew what he was doing, and it was the perfect time for our family. The arrival of his sister just a little over a year later was also perfect. And God's timing is perfect. It says in Galatians, when the fullness of time came, God sent forth his Son. I want to remind you that wherever you are this Christmas, I know that 2022 has been a hard year for many of us in many different spheres and ways. It's been a hard year for the church. It's been a hard year culturally, for many of you financially, some of us politically and relationally and familially. It has been a very difficult year. Yes, there's been a ton of blessings, a ton of beauty, but for us and many of us, there's been some losses. There's been some hardships. I want you to understand from Galatians 4:4, the first big grace gift, that God's timing is perfect. The second one is that you are precious to God. When the fullness of time came, God sent forth his Son. He didn't send forth his Son into an institution. God, the Father, did not send Jesus, the Son, to tick off a box, to solve a problem. He sent his Son to people, to you to me to a history of stories and souls, because those stories and souls are precious to the Father. You, my friend, are precious to God. That is the reason we celebrate Christmas, that God's timing is perfect. When the fullness of time came, He sent forth His Son to you, to me, because He loves us, because we are precious to Him. The next great gift is that He pursues us where we are. Listen, God sent forth His Son, born of a woman, born under the law, so that He might redeem those who are under the law. He pursues us where we are. And He is still pursuing you where you are. Many of you, because of your faith in Jesus, you know that that's true, but you think about that in your past, perhaps when you were saved by faith in Jesus. Yes, God pursued me then and found me then where I was, but it's still a truth that's activated now. God still pursues you now where you are. The next great gift, it gets even better. God doesn't leave you where you are. He sent forth His Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who are under the law. Not to just leave you where He finds you, but to call you forth, to call you up and out, to give you ever increasing levels of purpose and vision and hope and peace and impact and ministry. God pursues you where you are still, but He doesn't leave you where He found you. Finally, I think the beauty of the end of this short little Christmas passage tucked away in Galatians chapter 4 is that we always celebrate the beauty of Christmas from within a family. He sent forth His Son to redeem those who are under the law, that we might receive the adoption as sons and daughters, that we are adopted into the family of God. I know many of you have experienced some losses this year. Many of you have some relational difficulties, and Christmas, as you gather, typically with family and friends, it might feel heavy for you this year. I know we lost someone in my family. My grandfather, who is in many ways has been the glue of our family, he passed away months ago at 100 years and 7 months old. A long, full life. So this will be the first Christmas that we gather without my grandfather, and there will be a gap. There will be a hole. Many of you might be looking at the same reality, gathering with a loss, a hole. Despite that truth and the heaviness of that, the truth of what Galatians 4:4 tells us in Paul's words is that we are a part of a family, a larger family. The Grace family is just a small picture of the larger universal church family, brothers and sisters all united by faith in one Jesus, one Spirit, one Father. We are a part of a family, and we remember and celebrate the arrival of Jesus, Christmas time, from inside of a family. We have received by faith the adoption as daughters and sons. So, friend, wherever you are, I want you to remember and hold fast in hope this Christmas season. God's timing is perfect in your life, and He is never late. You are precious to God. He pursues you still right where you are, but He doesn't leave you where He found you. He wants to call you up and out. And we and you celebrate Christmas from inside of a family, God's family. So I hope that encourages you. I hope that lifts up your soul if your soul is weary this Christmas season. And I hope it blesses you with truths, magnificent truths of God's grace this Christmas. Merry Christmas, Grace family. I hope it is a beautiful and blessed one.